Mondli, good afternoon to you. Thank you for your time today. Firstly, I would imagine the support for President Ramaphosa in your survey was probably expected.
Yeah, that was very expected. I think he has been the star of this show, if you can call it the show. He has been the star of this particular period, because from the first day that he stood up and spoke to the nation, and when he declared the state of national disaster, I think everybody lined up behind him and said, this is what leadership should be, and this is the credibility of that we have always missed in a president. And you can imagine if it was during the previous period, I mean, like how much credibility that instruction would have had. And each time he has appeared, I mean, like people have actually come forward and actually said, look, this is the leadership that South Africa requires at this point, which has been very different, I think, from the time when the ministers have spoken. Because when the ministers have spoken, people are not so convinced. And you can even compare his appearances to appearances by other leaders around the world. I'll leave out Donald Trump for the time being. Just take Boris Johnson, for instance, or any other of the European leaders. They haven't had as much consensus behind them as Cyril Ramaphosa has had. So that was pretty much to be expected. But I think what was so surprising to a certain extent was the fact that the support for him, the job approval for Cyril Ramaphosa among minorities actually exceeded the job approval among black people, which actually shows basically kind of like how he has extended his appeal beyond what should be his natural base.
It's fascinating, some of those numbers, because some of those numbers could almost be used against him. It might not be a good thing for him politically to be strongly supported by minority groups.
Except that, you know, the people who have been sent at this particular point who have support. So there was a bit of feedback there. I don't know if it's just me hearing it.
Mondli, no, we can still hear you. Are you with us? Right, Mondli Makhanya, I can still hear the hiss in my ear, so I'm presuming you're still with us. Let's just move on a little bit to Becky Cele, the police minister. I mean, there's been a few comments critical of him and some of what he said in a sort of general tone, and yet he seems to have the support of more than half the people.
No, exactly. So I was saying that basically that it's not just Cyril Ramaphosa who has got the support, who's getting a lot of support. Obviously, he has the biggest support, but people like Willem Pize, who has been the real manager of this whole process, he has actually had a lot of support. But Becky Cele, surprisingly, who is, if you hear the talk with the social media or anecdotally, people are not very much in favor of Becky Cele that you only hear anecdotally. But he actually scores very well in terms of the support that he has. And in fact, it's not just him as a person, but some of the activities that he has overseen, the activities of the security forces, have actually enjoyed a lot of support among the population.
I mean, this issue around the fact that people seem to support a strong action, let me use that phrase, by the National Defence Force and by the police. In other words, they seem to strongly back that police and soldiers should actually punish people who break the lockdown regulations. I mean, this is a sort of tacit support, if I can use that phrase, for the exercises that people have been forced to do. I mean, there's so much to analyse in that support, isn't there?
Yeah. For me, that was the most surprising thing, but not only surprising, but also very shocking and unsettling in a way. That South Africans would say that, at a proportion, at least a third of South Africans would say that it's okay for police to use excessive force. It's okay for police to use shambles. And that's like about 5%, which is still a lot, to say that it's okay for police to actually shoot people if they are breaking the lockdown. So, but the answer to that is that people are actually a lot more afraid of the pandemic. People are actually more scared of the coronavirus than they are scared of the consequences of police action. And I think that this is the thing that the message has been driven through. I think the people that this thing can tell you. And those who break the lockdown regulations, and you can understand some of them, it's because they have no other choice. I mean, like, social systems is not easy for everybody, and it's changing habits. We in the middle classes, changing habits might be easier, but for people in working class neighborhoods, it's not that easy. So So, but people feel that people who are trained should actually be punished and very punished harshly. And even means that the security forces are breaking the law in actually enforcing the law.